Hi friends, personal interview in the service selection board is one of the three parts to assess your suitability for the potential officer-like materials. Amongst the personal interview, the psychological test and the GTO tasks, this is the only place where you interact one-to-one with the assessing officer, and hence it is very easy for him to assess your full personality directly. Interviewing officer is a very senior, experienced person who can easily judge your personality by the common day-to-day answers which you provide to the questions asked by him. Since the topic is quite lengthy, I have divided it into two parts. In the first part, we will provide you the basic information about the interview, certain common myths which you are carrying about SSB interviews, the dress code which you should follow, the demeanor during the interview, the PIQ form, the main focus areas and the analysis areas of the interview, and how he conducts this interview. In the second part, we will talk about the main interview, which will include the setting in process, the questions asked under three common areas, rapid fire questions, follow-on questions with certain examples, and how to prepare for interview. This is a personal one-to-one interview which lasts anywhere from 45 minutes to 1 hour. Your length of the interview never denotes whether you have done well or you have not done well. This is based on the concept of competency-based interviews, or we call it behavioral testing. It says that your behavior in the past is actually the true indicator of how you are going to perform in future. Therefore, certain questions are asked from your past behavior and your past life to assess how you are going to do in future. This is a very common technique and is also used to assess candidates for corporate interviews. I have put a complete video on competency-based interviews on my channel, and I will request you to have a look at that also. Therefore, the mantra for you to succeed in the interview is be real, be your true self. After analyzing around hundreds of answers from successful and unsuccessful candidates, I have come to certain conclusions that the students carry a lot of myths about this interview. I am going to explain few of them. The first one they are told is the pattern and questions of the interview are fixed. Friends, it's completely wrong. No two interviews are going to be the same. Yes, there are certain questions which the interviewer asks to all the candidates to make them comfortable and also to take them to the right path. However, your questions will always be different from the other candidate. Your questions will be based upon the personal information questionnaire which you have given, and also the type of the responses which you give to the interviewer, and the follow-up questions which he is going to ask from you. The second thing is about the sequence of questions. There is no fixed sequence. He can ask you some rapid questions in the beginning, or he may ask it in the middle or at the later part of the interview. He may make you little comfortable in the beginning, or he may make you little uncomfortable to assess your responses in that situation. So don't go with a fixated mind, with a fixated sequence, because you may be surprised then. Other thing which people think is that the psychological tests and the GTO tasks are completely different than the personal interview. Hence, I can project myself differently at those places and differently at this place. This is a very common mistake which people do, and hence you should avoid doing it. All your responses are counter-checked at the conference stage. Therefore, whatever personality you project in psychological tests or GTO tasks, the same answers, same responses should be given here. And the final thing here is to avoid getting stuck up or avoid getting caught in the trap is to be your real self. Some coaching academies tell you that personal information questionnaire is everything. All questions will be asked from your PIQ form, and hence they make you spend a lot of time on that. And some academies tell you that no, it is not at all important and you can fill it whatever you like. So friends, the reality is that personal information questionnaire is important. Questions are asked based upon what you give in the personal information questionnaire, but it is just a starting point. It is not everything. Hence, fill up the true answers in the PIQ and be prepared for the follow-up questions on your life and other events. Many candidates spend days and days together to be experts in the general knowledge because that's what they think is going to be asked in the interview. Friends, this is a very wrong information given to you. What the interviewer is looking at is not your general knowledge but general awareness. Hence, you need not be an expert on the GK. However, you should be aware of what's happening in the country, what's happening in your surroundings, and what's happening around the society and the world so that you are not caught on the wrong foot. But do not spend too much time on learning GK. Coming to the next important thing, and that is about dress. Gentlemen, this is the first impression which you are giving to the interviewer. Although no dress is specified in the instructions, however, you should wear a dress which is comfortable to you, which is according to the weather there, and also which should give you a look of a gentleman. Coming to your demeanor in the interview, you should sit down only when the interviewer asks you to sit down. Say thanks to him once you sit down, wish him, and later on, once you are talking to him, maintain a correct posture. Also, you should maintain a pleasant disposition and do not show your stress when he asks you certain probing questions. Those questions are asked to check your responses under stress and therefore do not get rejected by your stressful behavior. You should also not make unnecessary body or face movements when the interviewer is talking to you. Now gentlemen, coming to the first important thing, which is the input for the questions which the interviewing officer is going to take from. Yes, it is the personal information questionnaire which is the basic document available with him which shows your details and from where he is going to start asking you the questions. All data which you fill in the PIQ form gives certain facet of your personality. Hence, you should be very careful what you fill in the data form and also you should remember what you have filled there. The PIQ form looks like this. Other than your basic details, it asks for your place of maximum residence and place of present residence. It also asks you about the place of your permanent residence and certain details about that place. Just have a look at para 4C. Here it is also asking about the place, district, state with approximate population of the place. Therefore, it shows about your general awareness about your surroundings and you should be aware of the data what you fill in that form. Other details in the form are regarding your parents, regarding your guardian, your brother, your sister, their education, their occupation and their income, because all of these things are going to have a bearing on your personality. Next thing as shown in column 7 is about your education qualification, starting from matric, 10+2, graduation or post-graduation level as applicable and the marks scored by you whether you were a day scholar or a boarder, because these things are going to be asked in the questions. Like very common question is whether you increased your marks or you dropped your performance. If you are working, then you are asked to give your present occupation and the income, also your NCC training, your participation in games and sports, and also about your hobbies and interests. Gentlemen, just a point here regarding hobbies and interests. Interest is something which you like. It may be like you have an interest in classical music. However, if you pick up that classical music and spend some time on it, then it becomes your hobby. So you must understand the difference between a hobby and an interest before you fill up this form. And lastly, there are certain details regarding your choice of service, number of chances which you have already availed in all 3 services, and also details of previous interviews which you have carried out in any of the selection boards. Coming to the 3 main areas on which the interviewer is going to focus on. The first area on which he is going to ask you the questions are about your personal life, your education or your marks or any previous job if you have done that. The second thing which he is going to ask you questions on is about your parents, about your brother, siblings, and your relationship with them. And the last thing, which is a common thing to be asked, is about your environment, to include the knowledge of your surroundings, neighborhood, town, country, and generally the general awareness things which are going to be asked by him. What he wants to analyze in your personality by asking these questions is your ability to grasp the questions posed. It might be by the single individual question or might be by a rapid questions in which he will ask you 4-5 questions and he will look at your grasping power. Second thing he wants to assess is your ability to handle pressure, your ability to handle certain awkward questions. Therefore, he will deliberately put you some questions which you are uncomfortable with and will look at your reaction to those questions. The next thing which he wants to look at is your value system. What type of values you are carrying within your personality and what you show at that place. And lastly, it is again always those 15 officer-like qualities which all the assessing officers are looking at. So therefore, whatever answers, whatever the questions you reply there should be in line with those 15 officer-like qualities. For this, he will ask you certain simple questions like, how do you find this place? So these are just to make you comfortable and to get you started. He might ask you some questions from your personal information questionnaire and thereafter ask follow-up questions on that. And also, he might ask you 4, 5, 6 questions at one time, shoot at you and wait for your response, that how you respond to them. And lastly, there will be some personal and awkward questions to bring out certain traits of your personality which you are trying to hide from the interviewer. Be very calm when he asks those questions, be truthful and don't worry about anything because this is a confidential interview and whatever you tell him is never going to be told anywhere else. Gentlemen, in the part 1, I have acquainted you with the main processes which take place in the personal interview. In the second part, we are going to talk about the main interview. We will take on the questions which you are going to be put through and also the rapid questions and certain awkward questions. So stay tuned. Please subscribe to my channel if you have already not done so, so that you do not miss anything. Thanks for watching. Thank you.